something that they're going to be doing, among the office, kind of divvying that up, or different blogs, and that way, they do have a fresh posting every day. Because for them, it's probably, in the news industry, especially for me, for that.
I imagine you could get doing overload of information if you put too much out at once, but for the most part, it's more regular the better.
Yeah, I think if you're, at least daily or even 2 times a day, you probably don't want to be 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a matter, I think, of giving relevant content as well as timely content. So just making sure it makes sense. The second paragraph, I think, is important too, because it's not necessarily the size of what you put out, it's the relevancy and the importance. So not all posts need to be deep, but all should be interesting to your audience. Short posts with musings can be very effective. Insights don't have to be long, just worthwhile. After all, this is the way where readers are standards, and short is welcome but appreciated. And I know our best blog post that we've seen reaction from, both for ourselves and for our clients, has an interesting image of some sort or an embedded YouTube video or something, and then just some thoughts about that, whether that be something they came up with or whatever. It's something that will engage readers and get them involved in it. So it doesn't need to be long, it doesn't need to be a diatribe, a master's thesis necessarily, but it needs to be something interesting and relevant. Follow the blog style, use links, and stay on track. And what I mean by that, an informal conversational style dominates blog writing. It's what's expected in corporate blogs that conform are more likely to succeed. Concise is expected. Most bloggers use bullet points liberally. The goal is to make reading quick and easy, enable readers to scan your content. Provide links to stories or ideas you reference. That's the blog etiquette. Stay relevant, keep on topic and on track. One other thing, it's never been easier now to appropriate content from other blogs, and put it on yours. And I think there's some etiquette to doing that. I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but you should definitely make sure that you reference anyone who you get information from, because number one, I think it's ethical, and number two, they're trackbacks, so they can, if you link to theirs, then if they find something of interest to your blog, then they're most likely, if they see you're linking to them, they're going to link back to you. It's just going to reciprocate and bring more people to your blog. So there are reasons why you don't want to do that just other than ethical, but I think ethical is strong enough to not want to just appropriate information. Now we talked about people getting on and commenting and saying, hey, this was a bunch of bunk, go to my blog. Now this is where we're talking about tip number 6, be better and play nice. Be better, what we mean by that is have more interesting content than your competitors, be more responsive than your competitors, even marginally better often makes a big business difference. So if you reference the iPod and some of the stuff that they've done, just getting back in touch with people and being responsive obviously is huge. They overtook the market. The Zoom obviously is a monolith right now just because iPod was much more responsive and more edgy. Play nice, what we mean by that is always be civil. Bloggers thrive on strongly expressed opinion but are put off by personal attacks. The blogosphere slices up and disposes of meaner people quickly. So, and that is true. Just be cordial. Say what you want to say, but do it in such a way that people won't be affronted by it.
Yeah, in fact, that's actually a big deal right now. There's lots of conversations out about how to deal with badly behaving people online, And some of our personnel subscribe to some blogs that analyze logos. And basically, if the designer hasn't done it, they don't like it. And that's what I've learned looking at these things. So you actually see some of the bloggers say, from this point on, I'm just going to remove everything that doesn't have any relevance. You're just in here ranting and raving. You're not going to get posted.
Right. And you do see that. You do have strong opinions out there. That's a good point. Never tell a lie. Never try to hide information. You'll get caught, lose credibility, and never get it back. I'll give you an example of a company that actually, I think it was Ford, I was reading this case study a couple weeks back, where they did something, they tried to hide it and cover it up, and actually that blew up into this bigger mess than just them acknowledging it and letting it go, would have done. Chevrolet, on the other hand, did something a few years back where there was a video contest, basically. And somebody, very similar to the Doritos Super Bowl, where it's going to be user-created content. Somebody just out there creating the commercial for Doritos. They did something similar to Tahoe. And you got all these Ford lovers who created all these, Tahoe-hating commercials. Well, what they did is they went with it. Instead of trying to cover it up, they actually, spun it and made it into something kind of fun and funny. And because of that, they ended up coming out the other end a lot stronger than they would have had they tried to just suppress them. So
another example, did you hear Walmart, the cross the country blog they had? You ever heard about that? They sent a husband and wife, a couple in a motorhome, and they wanted to have this perception of, Walmart's always there to help the community, and they're everywhere. So they were going to go cross country and stop in major cities, and they were going to park their motorhome in the Walmart parking lot. And the idea was to inspire the workers, to thank them for putting up such a nice Walmart, so to kind of energize employees and kind of have this great company blog that was public that people could read about this great trek across the country with Walmart being highlighted. Well, so it came out in the end that people began to look into it, and Walmart had hired these people. It wasn't people, because the whole auspice of it, they just wanted to go from state to state parking in Walmart parking lots. But it came out that Walmart was paying them to do that. They're actually Walmart employees in the end, and that all fell apart, and Walmart took some heat for it. So,
wow,
kind of interesting.
Great PR ploy, but they should have like 3 or 4 levels between them and
exactly. We'll cover your food, maybe some gas, give you whoa.
Yeah. So anyway, kind of interesting.
That's funny.
And then finally, say nice things about your competitors. It disarms them, engage your points with others. But also, just acknowledge everyone has something to bring to the party. So if you acknowledge that, you just create friends online, and that in the end will only help you. Number 7, and this is critical as well, invite response. Enabling the target audience to respond is a defining characteristic of blogs. And again, we talked about Web 1.0 versus 2.0, and that's the response factor is one of the things that's so important about this. The key is to allow dissidents to participate but not dominate the discussion. Fred, as you were talking about, there are going to be dissidents, there are going to be naysayers on every blog, but if you allow them to poison the blog, then obviously that's not going over well. But in the give and take environment, bloggers need a thick skin and need to acknowledge mistakes, their own and their companies. Think twice about erasing negative comments by others, and then think again. Openness is vital in successful blogging. Inviting response means giving up some control of the message, owning the blog, however, ensures that you have the last word. So, again, I want to use this in a good way, you can spin that in such a way that eventually it makes you look good and puts you in a good light. So, if you suppress opinions, more often than not, that's going to end up worse for you than if you don't.
And I'm not going to name a name here, but John and I, we were working with someone on a nonprofit organization. And this wasn't actually a blog, it was a YouTube channel and some videos, and people had begun to post, kind of some negative things, and the person we were working with, was kind of frustrated and just said, take off comments, they can't do that anymore, let's just kind of keep it clean. And, it was interesting, John and I talked about, with him that it's kind of makes it tough for people to interact, and, you're going to get the negative, but, of course you can just go delete those comments, perhaps, or try to filter those out, but, you probably should think twice about just deleting any negative comments that come your way.
Well, it does raise a question, because I know with blogs, some people put them up for the social interaction, and some put them up just to voice their own information, and they don't allow comments. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, again, I think it goes back to why do you want to blog? And if it's an easier way, a push-button publishing way, just to get new content out, I think that's fine. If you want, though, to engage in robust discussion and whatnot, I think you have to accept the good and the bad. And maybe, if things get crazy over the top, maybe you send a direct email to that person that's talking that way. But I think if you open it up, you need to say, you know what, I'm not going to filter, I'm not going to censor it. Maybe set some ground rules at the beginning, but to really get that robust discussion, I think you do need to have it open.
And of course, you get to a point where you'd be forced to filter if they were putting something, real profane on it.
Exactly.